Da, 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 da. Welcome to the show. I can't do that stupid Hockey Night in Canada theme. For the likes of me, Tim is having a little bit of issues with his camera, so he's getting that fixed. In the meantime, you guys get me all to yourselves for a little bit. It is really good to see you guys here tonight. I know that Jordan is in the house. I've noticed that. And Gary's off to get some ice cream because the ice cream truck went by. As a result, I can hear the theme music from one of them ice cream trucks in my head. I don't know if you guys remember that. Any of you who are old enough probably remembers the Dickie D. He used to be that guy on the little bicycle thing that used to make the noise. Those guys pedal a lot. I had a friend, and he was a Dickie D guy, and I tried to get a job there, but honestly, I'm too lazy for that job. It's just so much pedaling. Wasn't that lazy back then, but I didn't get the job anyway, but it would have been kind of cool. Other than the temptation, you got ice cream there all the time. Okay, so my house is not haunted if you just saw the puzzle move. I just want to point this out. I've got a rotating table here, so it actually moves on its own, and sometimes it actually does this little spin. Put it back here like this. So yeah, I don't know whether it's air or something gets in here. So you may see it moving throughout the stream. Hey Teddy, it's great to see you. And once again, hi again, Jordan. So yeah, Tim is going to be here. For those of you just rolling in, Tim is fixing a video issue. For some reason, it was showing a car logo instead of Tim. So some may say that's an improvement, but he's not here to appreciate that joke. So we'll wait till he gets back for that. While we're talking, I'm getting really close to the Hot Ones challenge stream. So over on my channel, of course, as soon as I hit 2,000 subs, we're going to schedule that stream in. And right now we're at 1,970. So 30 more subs to go. I imagine we're probably going to see that. Well, we might see that before the weekend at the rate they've been coming aboard. So that would be really, really cool. Because then if everything went perfect, we could even see that stream as early as next Thursday. As long as if like on this Thursday, because I want to give a week's notice. So if this Thursday we're like just a couple of subs away, I'll throw it into the schedule. So for those of you who don't know what that is over on my channel, the Hot Ones Challenge, I'm going to be eating some meatballs, and it's going to be with, just give me a second here. Oh, holy banana bread. Here we go. Right here. This here is the Hot Ones Challenge. So inside of this box, we got, all right. We got all of these different spices. So 10 going from weakest to hottest. So they're hot sauces. So we will be going through those. So what we're going to do is, just give me a second here. So I'm putting this, trying to get this aside. There we go. Technical difficulties. Tim's camera doesn't work. My fingers don't work. So that's fine. So we're going to go through them. Hot sauce by hot sauce. Going to do 10 meatballs. I'm going to answer finance questions or whatever type of questions, really. It's whatever you guys are submitting. So I'll be answering those as the hot balls. They're going to be hot balls as the meatballs get hotter and hotter. I'll be answering more difficult questions. And as well, it's going to be live because what's the fun in not doing it live? Like if I end up drooling and coughing and going into a seizure or something, you guys are going to get to see it all. No glory. I will probably be embarrassed by the amount of drooling I may do at the end. So it's going to be live. We're going to answer, of course, questions in chat as well when we do that. So that could be as early as next Thursday. So I'll make the call on that tomorrow. I'll take a look and see how the subs are moving. If we're getting pretty darn close, I'm going to do the call just because I want to get this one done. I've been looking forward to it for quite a while. So that's going to be fun. All right. See, I didn't come in here tonight prepared to be solo flying, but sometimes that's what happens, right? You're up in the plane and the pilot dies, and you're the co-pilot, and you just gotta take that wheel. You gotta guide that plane in for a landing at some point. So that's okay. I'm just making. Well, see, that's the thing. I'm trying not to get into too deep of a topic because Tim should be back any second, and then we'll get to whatever his agenda was for tonight. But in the meantime, we will just talk about this, that, and the other thing, which is fine. So, it has been warm here. So it looks like summer has finally arrived in Ontario. I know that there's a good many of you who are in Ontario, so that is pretty darn good. Unfortunately, though, over in Nova Scotia, that's not going so well. They've got a few trees on fire, as just as well as in the West. So that's one of the bad things about this time of year. It never hurts to have a little bit of safety. So even though, Nova Scotia, you're not allowed in the woods anymore, but for us, those of us in Ontario, or maybe anywhere where we are still allowed in the woods, you want to take a good amount of safety with you. So when you're putting out, for example, a campfire, if you're out camping, just because it looks like it's out, it's usually not enough. Generally, what I like to do is simply pour some water on that campfire and stir it right into the campfire. That way there, if there's any embers slightly under the ground, you're going to get them exposed to that water, and then you're not going to be the one creating the forest fire. So yay you. Hey, Tim.
Hello. I thought you were supposed to pour sugar on it.
I know that's rock. That's a rock song, Tim.
I thought you were talking about the fire of the condo at King and Spadina yesterday. There was a balcony fire.
Banana bread.
Yeah.
Back in my stomping grounds, that's where they got all the forests are on fire. So.
Oh yeah, no, not made the news and everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Welcome back, Nancy.
I know I've been on a whirlwind traveling spree, and so yesterday was my final flight home. I have to go to Montreal in 2 weeks, but I'm just going in and out for the day, and so then I'm done for the summer, hopefully. Unless I'm in a big piece of business, then I might go back out on the road again. But anyways, it's good to see you, Candace. How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Taking a lot of meds, and I take injections every day.
Oh, Lord.
Like this here, right here. This here. It's a self-contained needle.
Yeah.
So I take 2 of these a day. So I break this open into the stomach. It's
Jesus.
It's blood thinner, right? It gets rid of the blood clots.
Oh, Candace.
It doesn't technically
one of those.
Well, technically, it doesn't get rid of the blood clots, but it prevents them from growing.
Yeah.
So that your body can then break them down, and it also keeps them from moving.
Oh man. Okay. Well, so you're feeling better.
Yes.
Excellent. And I like your new hair color.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
We lightened it up a little bit.
And do you have a new backdrop there?
No, she's upstairs.
I'm upstairs now because we moved me into my this is the old studio.
Ah.
So right now we moved all the gym equipment downstairs. So with this one here, it's like I'll do the filming in Jill's bedroom because we got tons of room in there, and we got a green screen for there. We don't have a green screen right now for here, but I thought, you know what? I just use this for live streams.
Yeah.
So why not just make it a little more personal? And, like you can see my spinning table here for puzzles.
Spinning table?
Yeah. See, it spins.
Oh, spinning.
Oh, I love that, Candace. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let me see that's going on there. That's cool. That makes doing puzzles so much easier.
Well, it does. And plus, it's got a little thing right now over top of it, so it protects the puzzle in its place. So that way there you can put the thing over top of it, and you can use the table if you really want to.
What does that mean? Piece?
Maybe. Or V or
2?
5.
I don't understand.
Okay, someone in the comments help me out.
Don't get it.
5.
Piece of the puzzle. P.
Oh, piece. So like the 60s.
you
when
know
you
what?
were a
I
kid.
haven't been around him much for the last 4 weeks.
And I've got new material. I'm so
Oh,
excited.
my
Oh,
gosh.
this is good.
I forgot that this was my life. Ah!
It's like she just had a preemptive headache. It was great.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, okay, so I am completely out of it. I don't even know the price of Bitcoin. I don't know where
Well,
the stock market is.
What the hell?
What's going on?
GDP.
Well, the stock market is still in Toronto.
What?
Just, they haven't moved it, so you're okay there.
Good.
Bitcoin is basically, it's been moving back and forth between about 27 and 30. I think right now it's closer to 27,000 American.
That's good. Is there any indicators? Is liquidity coming into the market? Like, why is there movement? Do you know?
I think it's just normal movement. I think that's right now the range that it's in. I think a lot of stuff right now is kind of in the market is still waiting for stuff to happen. Like, is the debt ceiling bill going to pass?
Oh,
So there's
yeah.
a vote on that tonight by the House.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the Senate, and the Senate still has to do it. So there's still a lot of Republicans who don't want it to pass, but it still looks like it's going to squeak through, hopefully.
Well, because
Isn't
are
that
the Republicans pushing for a bunch of spending cuts
Yeah,
along with the debt
they
ceiling?
were. They got a lot of the spending cuts that they wanted, but they didn't get all. They also had to compromise quite a bit too. So they were both sides were almost an all or nothing at the beginning.
Yeah.
And there's been some compromises. So, for example, the Republicans also wanted to cut the funding for veterans by about 20%. But that was one of the ones that the Democrats wouldn't back off on. So they decided to leave the veterans alone.
Well,
So
of course.
But you know what? There's still a lot of Republicans that are like, we need to cut the veterans. We can't let that go through. But, they did get
How
some.
do you ask people to fight for your country?
Yeah,
and put their life on the line, and then down the line don't take care of those people. Like, it just.
Yeah, you have to respect your veterans.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. So market wise, once this is finally settled, that's going to help. But we've also got the whole stuff going on too with the American economy right now. Today, something called the JOLTS report came out. So that's basically looking at job openings.
Yeah.
And they were anticipating, I think it was about 9.7. It was either 9.7 or 9.8 million job openings. And it came in at 10.1, showing that the job situation is not improving in the US.
Right.
And they've also got GDP still looking strong. So it pretty much guarantees another rate hike.
Yeah.
And of course, up in Canada, our inflation is starting to look like it's sticky. So it's not going down. And plus, our GDP got released today and it came in above expectations. So we're probably going to be going back to another rate hike. There's a good chance of that happening when the Bank of Canada meets.
Yeah, and I know I always have given everybody the kind of the gauge of the economy based on my girlfriend's who works for her brother who's a trustee in bankruptcy. And she said that in her entire working time in this industry, even beyond 2008 and 2000 and all those metrics where we had, where we were in really bad economic times, she said they are so busy, and the amount of debt they're writing off is astronomical. Like it's almost breathtaking. So I don't know. I think we're even at that place in Canada. I was talking to somebody else when I was in British Columbia this last weekend, and they were saying that in their area that it used to be, and I forget how many homeless meals they would serve, not homeless, at the food banks. They were doing, and food banks is not indicative of homelessness.
No.
But they were saying that they usually do 60,000 meals in a month. They're doing 250,000 in a week now out of one food bank.
That's not surprising. Another thing to look at too is if you looked at any of the banks' earning reports that came out just recently, like all 6 have come out. And one thing that's in common with all of the banks is they're all setting aside a lot more money for defaults.
Yeah.
So they're preparing for it.
Yeah.
So that's
Do you
just
think
something
American banks do that too, or they just kind of know that they can go to they can go to the dealer and get more drugs when they want to.
The what?
Well,
Are
he's
the
meaning,
American banks doing what the Canadian
Mhm.
banks are doing and setting money aside?
Right.
Or are the American, I related it to a drug being dependent on drugs, just going back
Oh,
to the,
just
the
protect it.
manufacturer of
Right.
drugs to just, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, if you're running a good business and you know this is going to happen, you need to be doing this to sort of mute out the impact of it. Because that's a normal part of banking. I mean, any bank, even in good times, are still going to have defaults.
yeah,
So in the bad times, you've got to set aside more. If you don't, it's going to hurt you on the earnings sheet. It's going to hurt you
yeah,
big time. And in the U.S. right now, I think the banks are all in that situation where they're doing everything they can to mitigate as much as possible, especially considering some of the banking fears and some of the collapses on some of the regional banks. We haven't completely seen the end of that yet either. There may be more.
There's going to be more fallout down there. I don't, it makes me wonder how much we actually, or how much society actually values money when you kind of chew it up, spit it out, and then go back and get another dish of it. You know what I mean? Just
The
because
problem
people,
is when you got the government doing bailouts, I mean, they're quite literally printing that money.
yeah.
Mhm.
So when you're bailing people out, you're actually hurting everybody because you're devaluing your dollar. So it's one of these things that, as hard as it may seem, if we've got six, let's just say in Canada, our banks, I don't think they're really in that bad a shape. But let's just say one of them will go with CIBC. Let's say, and I chose them because they're the only ones who showed a profit this time around. But let's just say CIBC completely mismanaged everything and they were going to collapse. Bailing them out might be a bad idea. Maybe just let them collapse. Then all of a sudden we have a big five.
that would never happen.
I know the government tries to stop something like that. I could see, like, I can understand bailouts like with airlines because we need the airlines. We can't let all of our airlines, go under. We don't have that many. Although, honestly, we should have more because that would certainly help bring airline prices down
Yeah.
if we had more competition.
Well,
And now here's the interesting thing. Now that the New Freedom now has a national plan, so coast to coast, and it's like $50 a month for 50 gigs or so. That's a really good price. The thing is about this is that this is going to put a lot of pressure on like Rogers, Bell, and Telus because there's going to be these plans that they can't compete against with their current prices. So they're going to have to start lowering their prices. They're not going to have a choice.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When you see that happen, don't expect your price to lower if you're with one of them unless you call and complain and fight and threaten to quit. Because normally the way these guys work is they'll make these new prices available for new customers and they won't even tell you that this has happened until, maybe 5 months later you find out and you call in angry as heck. And if they don't, at that point there, you want to go to the retention department and say, look, you're either going to give me one of these prices or I'm leaving. So they'll probably give you that price. Otherwise, you'll just leave and port your number to, whatever the other one is and take advantage of their introductory price.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to definitely be paying attention to that. Now, one really good website to keep abreast of that, it's called mobilesyrup.ca. It's a Canadian website. And they have all of the news on different rate plans that pop up and anything to do with the phone service. And that's a great place to be. You stop in there maybe once a week and take a gander. And sometimes you'll find some deals that are going on that perhaps you didn't even know about.
Is that the right spelling of it?
I believe so.
Okay.
Just type in mobile syrup in Google. And if that's not the right spelling, it'll bring it up.
Well, Gary wants us to discuss the carbon tax too. I don't know anything about it, Gary. What do you know much about it, Candace?
Well, I mean, the carbon tax is basically part of the Liberal incentive to try to save the environment by charging us more at the pumps and also charging companies basically a straight fee for the amount of emissions. But here's the interesting thing is the way these carbon taxes work is if you don't really have a lot of emissions, you get so much of your credit that you can use, and you can sell it to companies with higher emissions. And so there's a lot of deals that can go on behind.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of ways that the bigger companies can sort of play with these. But the reality is, for us at the gas pump, we're going to be paying a little bit more. Hey, it's Canada. We expect high taxes, and this is no exception to that. I
Yeah.
know that the Conservatives said that they'll get rid of it if they get voted in, but I always take that with a grain of salt, because the Conservatives once said that about
GST. Weren't they trying to abolish GST?
I think it was the GST. And then when they get in, they looked at how much was lining the coffers, and they're like, no, we can't do that.
Well, they could very well get rid of it, but what's going to replace it? Like, out with the old, in with the new. You always have to replace something with something in government. You can't just with what we have in debt and stuff. You can't get rid of taxes.
Or you have to cut spending to.
Yeah, that ain't going to happen. Well, see, out here, this is going to be interesting to follow when we get into this. It's Peel region is Mississauga and Brampton. Right out here in beside us in Toronto and Oakville, they're between us, and they amalgamated into the region of Peel so that Mississauga their tax base could subsidize the growth and development of Brampton. Well, now if you were to look at Brampton, it's like they're very well self-sufficient, but Mississauga is still transferring something like 81 or 86 million dollars a year up there under this old agreement. So Bonnie Crombie, the mayor of Mississauga, who is also probably going to be putting her name in for the new Liberal leader of Ontario, has, and I believe Ford has passed it, that the separation can undo that region of Peel, and Mississauga will become separate from Brampton.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And it's just, well, it was the same thing in Halton here. We have Georgetown, Oakville, Burlington, and Acton. And, that's the purpose. I didn't realize that was the purpose, was to have one tax base grow another tax base or community within the borders. But they never stop it once it's built. Like, there was no, okay, good, let's get rid of this, and we don't need to, like.
Well, I mean, that's the way government works, though.
Yeah. Well, and
income tax, that was a temporary thing.
Well, and what happens if they get rid of the conglomeration of the region of Peel? Well, that's a whole level of government gone.
Well, that's the thing, though.
I don't think they're going to allow that to happen, because that's a ton of people out of business.
I mean, most of the trends, especially with cities and surrounding cities, have been to basically to streamline things and to remove duplication of services. So that's why a lot of the places, like, where I'm from, Halifax used to be completely separate from Bedford and Sackville and Dartmouth, but now it's all a giant super city. So that way there, all of the taxes and everything can all be sorted together. You don't need to have separate tax teams for every single community. And that's just the whole move in that direction. It does make sense. It saves a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I don't see them ever moving backwards. If you've already got a position where all of the communities around you are all sort of under that umbrella now, it would not make sense to move them out.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get how they need to continue to have hiring. I mean, for roads and public works and stuff like that, I get it. But when you come down to clerical office stuff, I mean, look at even the Royal Bank has now, in some of their branches here in Oakville at least, have done redesigns with that, and they've got rid of the CSRs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it's and they all they do is direct them to online banking or to the ATM. It's like, how it's just a vicious circle of silly money being spent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just going back to what Gary is saying in the chat. That tax, most provinces are getting that increase. There's a few provinces that are not, at least not initially, because everything kind of.
Would Alberta be one of them because of the fossil fuel they've got there? Like, do they ever pay any kind of tax on anything with fuel related?
I don't. I think Alberta's paying for it. I think Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, I think they're starting it a little bit later. But yeah, no. In this case here, this is going to happen not so much through taxes through GST. It's going to be added straight on to the price of gas.
Mm.
So it is going to be a
Does
size.
this mean everybody's going to run and get Teslas?
Well,
Well,
but then you're you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because now you've got the energy consumption of your home.
I know, but I don't think it's as much as we think. Like, I think we need to get somebody on that actually knows. We all speculate, but I don't know if we've ever had anybody on that understands.
has a Tesla.
Yeah. Because I was out west and I ran into my old business partner, and both her and her husband have Teslas, and her whole driving school
It's going
fleet
Teslas.
have done Teslas. And she
Mhm.
said it's cut their fuel consumption in half. And she
Yeah.
goes, the electricity isn't that expensive.
No, it isn't. And that's the thing is, if you look at some of these charging stations and how much they charge, and then compare that to how much gas costs, it's significantly less.
Yeah. So doesn't in theory, doesn't it pay for itself without having to pump all the time?
Well, it depends as long as the car lasts so many years, but I mean, you're going to make your investment back. I mean, the thing is, though, look at it this way. When you think of how expensive that car is, if you're going to buy a new car anyway, whether you buy gas or a Tesla, you're only looking at the extra that you may have paid to get the Tesla compared to the gas guzzler. And
But
that's all you have to do.
But aren't there other cars out there that are also EV
Yeah.
and hybrid?
Yeah, no, you can get EV, you can get hybrid. There's also hydrogen, which is another option out there as well. I think EV right now you have more charging station options than what you would have with, say, a hydrogen. So yeah, the options are there. I mean, I think a hybrid is probably a good idea at this point in time because we're trying to add more charging stations, but they're not all out there yet. So if you do go outside of normal urban areas, you probably want that hybrid so that way there, when you are taking a trip away from the grid in that way, you at least have an option.
Yeah.
At some point, the tables will turn and people will say, and it'll hit the news that people were in line for hours waiting to charge their EV because they were on a trip or whatever the case is. You wait. The courtship will end. This introductory offer to low fees to, whether it's the amount that the charging station charges you to do it or the cost of electricity, at some point the introductory offer will end, and you watch. Then it'll be, well, you're caught. Now you own the car. What are you going to do, right? Just like you own a gas car, fuel car. What are you going to do? There's no options, right?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But and Gary's saying they're finding the issue is finding the charging stations. Well, I mean, in this neighborhood alone, like right at the park here, there's a charging station here, another one up the road. Like they're starting to implement them all over. Our office, we don't even have that many people who have a hybrid, and our office has a charging station.
Do you know what's really a slap in the face is, and I'm sorry, but it's a personal pet peeve, is that there's more effing charging stations than there are accessible parking spots in a parking lot. Wrong. If you were to see the amount of people who need accessible parking, sorry.
Well, that's okay.
And that's only going to increase as the population ages.
Well, yeah, you'll get more of those little blue thingies, and
yeah.
And that's
anyway.
Well, I'm glad you ranted about that.
Well, it's true.
I didn't know.
It's true.
I didn't know that was your pet peeve.
If you were to go up to Lime Ridge Mall in Hamilton, you can drive down Lime Ridge Road, and there is a gazillion EV. It's like a whole little corner of the parking lot there, and yet you go into Lime Ridge Mall. And I can count, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but I can count on one hand how many accessible spots there are for people.
But part of the problem is, Tim, and I think I could be wrong about this, but if you're going to set up an EV station, doesn't it have to be near an electrical source?
No, they run it out. They run it out to the edge of the parking lot, or they'll run it out to where an aisle is or something like that.
Can you get I mean, do they have electrical and accessible at the same time?
They're coming. You honestly think someone's going to go and plug in their car that's getting out with a wheelchair?
Why wouldn't they if they are a car's electric? And a lot of people who use those accessible things, they aren't all in wheelchairs. There's people who have, just conditions that.
And shame on the people that have designed some of these parking lots. Shame, shame, shame. They make the accessible parking spots the same width as every other parking spot. Shame on you. The Conestoga Mall in Kitchener, bad. If anyone's bad, that's bad. Conestoga needs to get their act together and make those bigger. I'm sorry, but it's just, I work in that industry, and these people really need this space. Like,
Well, that makes sense. I mean, I'm fully for accessible parking spots. I mean, my mom has one of them blue things because she has MS. So,
Well, Phil says he gets out to pump his own gas.
do you? Well, good for you.
I don't think there's a gas station here that'll let you pump your own gas at all anymore.
Full service? Yeah, they're around.
Or sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, you have to pump all your gas at everyone. Never mind. I was thinking the exact opposite, and then I went and said it backwards. I'm like, whoa, what's going on there? But no, I was thinking, I just didn't think there were any full services left anymore. But
Speaking of pumping gas and all that stuff, are you continuing on your driver training journey, or is that on pause?
The training, I just have to take the test now. So, waiting to get that coordinated. Now, they have to coordinate it, of course, with the driving folks over at Service Ontario. So hopefully I'll know. I imagine I'll know probably within a week or two when that date's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in no big hurry, so I look at it this way: it's going to happen.
So I was having just sort of a text conversation, and I saw that Ken had popped in here, and I know he's putting in killer hours right now.
Mm-hmm.
But he was saying that he had worked a ton of hours and stuff like this, and that he was getting his paycheck either today or tomorrow, pay stub, to see what he was getting. And I said, well, you better be sitting down, because if you've worked that many hours, chances are you're going to lose at least a third of it in taxes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said to him, he goes, well, this would be a good topic for Wednesday night. Because what I said to him, and I think what kind of led him down to say it'd be a good topic, is the fact that if he was to increase his contributions to the pension plan or RRSP, wouldn't that mitigate the upfront tax and defer it to when he retires?
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if his company matches RRSP
Yeah.
contributions, he wants to be doing the maximum of that, because you're basically getting free money.
That's right.
So,
right.
Do you know what drives me bonkers? Truthfully, this is my pet peeve.
Elderly drivers?
No.
Oh.
Clowns on tricycles?
No, that's weird too. But no, my pet peeve is that they cap off the amount of money I'm allowed to put in my RSP.
Okay.
Because, like, Tim and I live frugally on a lot of levels.
Mm-hmm.
We live in, 600 square feet basically. And so our expenses are lower than the average bear for living here. Now we've got other expenses and whatnot. But if, we're now at a place where we're just trying to plow away as much money as we can for retirement. And I know they've let us use up our back room and all that sort of stuff. Great. But it still feels a little bit like if you've got a job where you've finally worked enough up the ladder enough that you're making a decent salary, that there needs to be more ways to tax shelter, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
A few more leeways.
Yeah, you're right, because that doesn't make any sense. Because if you could go carte blanche and buy as much as you want in a stock or a bond or whatever the case is, with no limitations whatsoever. And then when if you were to cash out, you get charged capital gains. Well, that's where the government makes their money. And yet they won't allow you to invest in your retirement, which in fact gets them off the hook a little bit financially. If you have more money in retirement, you're not depending on the system as much. Doesn't that make sense? Like,
no, it'd be nice if there were more options, because I mean, right now, technically, We have, well, there is. You also have that home buyer, that first home buyer option that kind of works
That
like
just came out, right?
that just came out,
Yeah.
and I think it's 8,000 a year that you can put into
Yeah.
it
Yeah, my
up till
daughter
you max it.
did that. Yeah.
But here's the thing: if you're at a point that you've got more money than, or coming in than you can safely invest in, your TFSA and your RRSP, you might as well use it, because what ends up happening, even if you don't end up turning that or flipping that into a house, after the time period, it goes right into your RRSP and it adds to your contribution room. So if you have your RRSP maxed, and then you've got I don't know, is it 40,000? I think at the end of this, all of a sudden that 40,000 goes into your RRSP, and you've just gained 40,000 free contribution room in your RRSP that you wouldn't have had.
But doesn't it go from a non-taxable vehicle into a taxable vehicle?
It's taxable though. It acts the same as your RRSP, because you're
The,
putting the
the,
money
the new
into it.
homeowners one you're talking about.
Yes. That one it acts just like your RRSP, but normally, if you're using it for a house, they don't charge you the tax. They let the taxes go by. But if you're not buying the house and you take the money out, then you're charged the taxes on that income. Or in this case, if after, I think it's 15 years, it then will roll into your RRSP, giving you a whole bunch of free contribution room. So it's a way to sort of pump up that RRSP without.
Yeah, because we had done the RESP for the kids, and if if we hadn't used it all on education and so on and so forth, then we would have had to pay back the contributed amount by the government, because they put money in too, right?
Oh, exactly.
Is it all up?
Yeah.
I never did ask you that question.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, there would be nice if there were a couple more vehicles to use for taxes, obviously. Now, investing wise, I mean, if you're at a point where, let's say, your TFSA is full, your RRSP is full, well, you've got that personal account, and you can do a lot in that personal account to try to sort of alleviate some of the taxes that you'll pay from your gains. For example, tax loss harvesting. So tax loss harvesting, this is something, if you're running a personal account, this makes a lot of sense. So when the market's down, it doesn't usually take your asset down. It takes another similar asset down as well. So if you just sell the down asset, you take the loss, you buy the other down asset. That asset, of course, when it recovers, goes back up. You're perfect. You haven't lost anything, but you've now got that loss in the books that you can then use, that when you capitalize, or when you get a capital gain from selling something else, you can then use that to prevent yourself from paying taxes.
How long can you hold on to that loss for?
It carries forward.
Forever?
Indefinitely?
Yeah. Well, until you die. They won't let you probably do much with it after that. But no, it's a good thing. It's a neat way that you can sort of maneuver things. And if you're smart about it, you should almost never be paying capital gains taxes.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, if this when the crypto market returns, and I don't know if it's ever going to come back to the roaring 2020s again.
Sure, in about 10 years.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, then it'll be a small fortune for me then.
If you take that crypto market and you just draw a line the way it was moving before the big jump, the big jump during the pandemic, and keep that line going straight, it actually meets up with where it's at now. And we're still on that same trajectory. But that giant bump up to those all-time high, that was just all of that money that was pumped into the economy. So that money is no longer there. So ignore that completely, and then just look at the trajectory, and you'll see it's got a slow, steady climb. And that just shows you it's actually being very healthy, to be honest.
That'd be a good question. I know Ken is more in tune with all the altcoins and stuff like that, but now that you mention that, I wonder if people, if people like creators of the coins and stuff like that, were smart enough to say, "Holy man, people are pumping money into the altcoins. Let's create more and more and more, and then we'll do all these rug pulls."
Well, that
I
happens
wonder
a
if there's
lot.
any
So,
statistics to say there was an increase of coins over the term of the pandemic compared to other years.
well, I think during the pandemic, people making a new coin was a quick way to get rich, and
Right.
even a faster way if you were going to do a rug pull with it. And also, with the regulations not being really good, it gave you a much better chance of getting away with it.
Where are they at with all that regulatory stuff? I haven't paid any attention.
It's slowly getting there. Up here in Canada, ShakePay, for example, is now regulated quite a bit.
Is
So
it
they,
really?
yeah. So now the way it works at ShakePay is they have, if you, let's say you buy one Bitcoin, they have to hold one Bitcoin. They can't use it. They can't loan it. They can't use it.
Borrow against it, borrow it out. Nope.
So they always have that cash so they can pay you back.
Which is good.
Yeah, which, well, I mean, it makes it secure. It gives you a lot of security because they're not going to be able to get into the situation that a lot of these brokerages down in the States got into, or in, Europe, like Celsius and things like that. So, that's kind of a good thing. And I imagine you're going to see the same kind of direction with Wealthsimple. Wealthsimple just got the CDIC up to, it used to be 150,000. Now it's like 300,000.
Really?
Yeah. So they got that.
That's more than the banks, isn't it?
Pardon?
Isn't that more than the banks?
Yeah.
By like threefold. Because
Well,
the banks are what, 60?
I think the banks are around 100,000. I think
Okay.
either 100 to 150. I can't remember. I don't deal with the normal banks. I just deal with EQ at this point. Well, I also in National Bank, but that's just a brokerage. I got a brokerage with National Bank as well as Wealthsimple.
Right.
But yeah, it's just one of those things that they did. It's kind of a neat. It's kind of neat in the sense that a lot of people would take investments and they'd be, okay, well, I can have, 100,000 here, 100,000 there, 100,000 there, just so that they're all insured. But this allows you to put more into that pot and then get it insured. And the other thing too with Wealthsimple is once you have $100,000 worth of assets on Wealthsimple, then you get Wealthsimple Plus for free. So you don't have to pay that $10 a month for Wealthsimple Plus if you want it. They just give that to you right off the top. And plus, they have other investing avenues. So things like venture, they got like a venture fund and a few other things that you can take advantage of when you have a specific amount of money within your account.
Is that still your primary trading platform?
Yes, for investments at the moment. Like I thought about moving it all just over to National Bank only for the simple reason of keeping it all together. But the big problem right now is that Blossom doesn't have National Bank yet. So if I want people to be able to see my stuff, I need to stay where I'm at for now.
There seems to be activity, like from what little that I tune into what's going on with crypto and exchanges and stuff like that. There seems to be, in my opinion, more activity in Canada with exchanges or potential exchanges or vehicles that are trying to become an exchange of sort, whether it's stocks like Blossom seems to be progressively going after stuff. WonderFi seems to be progressively going after stuff. ShakePay is stabilizing itself, you know what I mean? It's just, and you don't see that or hear that much going on in the States.
Well, I think the big thing is Canada is our companies, our brokerages and such have basically been learning about the mistakes the companies in the rest of the world have been making. And they've been making sure that those mistakes don't happen.
Yeah.
Also, we do have good regulation in Canada. Most of it's handled by the OSC, so Ontario Securities Commission. Even though each province has one, they still kind of sort of collaborate quite a bit. So if the OSC says it's going to go this way, then it usually does. And if you listen to Kevin O'Leary, he believes that the SEC uses the OSC up here in Canada as a way to test new regulations. Say, run them in Canada, see how they work. Oh, they're working great. Let's adopt them down here.
Oh, that's funny.
No kidding.
That is funny. Has he? I haven't heard. I haven't seen much of his stuff come up. But then again, I haven't really been looking. Has he?
Yeah.
Is he gone underground since all of this
I don't think
stuff?
so.
He hasn't gone underground, but I don't see him as much in my feed anymore.
No.
So, I mean, I know he still has his own channel, but we'll have to see. Now, Blossom right now, I mean, technically right now they're not a broker, but they have applied to become a broker because they sort of see themselves as coming into that same Wealth Simple type space.
Yeah.
And, it could be very interesting. There's a lot of really neat plans in place for Blossom, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because I see Brendan on quite a bit now. Whether it's the same one repeating or not, I don't know. I think I see him on TikTok.
Mm-hmm. Now, Tim, Tim Carroll, if you're trying to download Blossom, you need to do it on either your phone or your tablet. So if you're trying to do it on a PC, that would give you errors and wouldn't let you do it. You can do it on a Mac if you know how to, because Macs will allow you to do thingies, so apps. So it is possible on the Mac to do it. But yeah, so just try again. If you're having more difficulty, try using the link that I have over on my site. That one I know 100% works, because maybe you have a bad link or something as well. And if that doesn't work, reach out to me, let me know, and I'll see what I can do for you.
Awesome. Hey, you know how we used to do the watermelon and mustard thing?
Yes.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
No.
How do you have watermelon and mustard there?
No, but okay. I was at the sales show, SIAL. It's a retail show, and so I went and I roamed the floor, and I was looking at new products and new product innovation and all that sort of stuff. And I don't actually remember the booth I was at, but they were showcasing. You know what they were showcasing? Now that I think about it, they were showcasing olives, and olives from no, I think they were right from Italy. Like, these were amazing olives. It was so funny. You know how they showcased it so that to give us a sample?
With
They just
mustard?
didn't give us a little sample of a little container of olives. They had done olives in inventive ways. So I tried chocolate mousse with olives on top.
Okay, how was that?
You know that
is that the saltiness?
it's
coming
kind of the saltiness, and you get I wasn't sure, and I wasn't sure if it was because I'd never had it before, whether that was what it was, whether it was my senses. So I kept eating it, trying to figure out if I liked it or not, and I couldn't make up my mind. So for all of you out there that are watching that know about our crazy, little concoctions and things, would you try a beautiful, rich, dark chocolate mousse with chopped up black Kalamata olives on top?
That doesn't make me feel very well. It leaves a pit in my stomach.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there we go. There we go. He got to the core of the joke.
Oh, honey. Why did
Yeah, no, I can't actually do that challenge because I can't have a ton of salt.
Right.
All right.
So olives, even though I love them, they're on the no-fly list.
Right. But it's an interesting concept if you want to think. The other thing I've been watching a lot of is people are now taking cottage cheese. It's everywhere. They're putting it in their blender and making it like smooth cottage cheese. Have you seen people do this? Have you heard about people doing this?
I have. Apparently Jill has.
Okay. I've been
putting it in their Ninja Creamies and making ice cream out of it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I've been sending all these recipes like crazy to Tim, because when you see things on the reels and stuff, like I can't save it.
That's where they belong.
So I keep sending it to Tim, and I listen. He's never once gotten the hint and made any of these recipes. But he'll sometimes send me a message and say, "You're making me hungry." Anyways, I've sent him a bunch recently, all about this whipping this cottage cheese. So
Well,
That is
Jill,
on my
That
list
was
of
the other
things.
day,
You
actually,
send them to me. I'm the foodie here. Send them to me. I would love to get those. That's great.
Okay, Jill. I'm not Jill. I'm not sure if you and I are friends on Facebook, but if
We are.
if
We are. Yeah, I think so.
okay, then I will try to send them to you because then that way I half of the time I do this to him so that I keep the recipes. If I see something that I really like, I go, oh, I want to keep that.
well, the other day she actually made me a tofu milkshake.
Oh,
What kind? What flavor?
Just chocolate.
I think there was chocolate. Was there peanut butter in it too, maybe?
No.
Or banana. Banana.
Banana. It's just
Yeah, it was like banana, tofu, and a bit of chocolate.
It was soft
protein.
tofu. The silken tofu. Silken because you can just blend that, right?
Mm.
Anyway, nothing. It's nothing special or nothing new there, but
no, I know, but so Gary's saying he loves his air fryer, and Esther says she's got one too. Do you guys have an air fryer?
we have two of them. Yes.
Oh, now why two?
Because I bought one with a Ninja one, and then Ken recommended the other Ninja one that had the all the different settings in it that does the oh my goodness anyway the one that Ken recommended because he has it and you can do a whole bunch of other
Yeah.
other stuff in it as well. So I got that one as well. So now I have two air fryers, and I do have the Creamy. I have the Ninja. I love food appliances, to be honest. So like, if it's a food appliance, I usually own it. The only thing I don't right now own, I'm looking to get one, is a waffle maker. But pretty much everything else I have had or have currently. Like I have a dehydrator. I have all these anyway. But yeah.
Do you have one of those Instapots?
That's what it says. So then that's what it's like. So that one of the Ken explain it, but it's like the Ninja has an Instapot part that you can do all of those settings. Because I had one, and then I sold it because I've got the Ninja that you can do the air frying and all the Ninja and all the like that pot stuff. Like you can fry it and then do the slow cooker or the whatever whatever type of stuff you want to do in there. It has all the same settings.
Ken bought the same one. Gary bought the same one. You guys must have been one night we were talking about it, and then everybody goes
the exact name model. Sorry, but yeah. So that's why we have two air fryers.
Well, you know what? We've been watching a lot of this gal. Her name is Mandy in the Making, and she does dinners. She cooks all these foods. And
Candace, you couldn't do it. It is just loaded with salt.
Oh yeah, like it's all American
it makes
stuff.
I have to have a glass of water to watch the show.
Oh,
but,
wow.
I know, but okay, she's got a cute little personality.
It is. It's definitely American. Hardly any veg or green.
Oh yeah,
but some of the dishes okay, maybe once in a while but every day it's like no way, man, no way.
Yeah, no, the hardest thing right now I'm having with the salt is Asian sauces, because every Asian sauce, not just soy sauce, the black bean sauce, all of the Asian sauces have way too much salt, way too much. She can have some salt, but I have the coconut aminos. I'm familiar with it. It's okay. It does not taste like soy sauce. Whatever, it's okay, but it's not tamari. It's not. So that's the only comparison. But that's it. Even mustard, I was surprised to find mustard. It has so much salt, so much sodium. I was like, oh my god.
Mustard does.
Yeah, everything. That's how they preserve it. Why do you think you get a bottle of yellow mustard and it lasts 500 years?
Yeah, I know. I thought it was a vinegar, to be honest.
Nope.
I don't know. It's the salt.
Salt and but where I was going with that Instapot, that gal from that Mandy in the Making, she does so much with the Instapot, and for a person who's never had an Instapot, it's almost hard to imagine that it's that instantaneous.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do a lot of stuff because it does the pressure cooking stuff really quick. So you can do a whole bunch of beans, cuts it in half. You know what I mean? All of that stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. Okay, I have to tell you a funny story, switching gears a little bit. Flying home last night, I sat beside the most interesting person I've met in a long time. She's got a big job at Amazon.
Okay.
And I learned a whole bunch of things. And so you want to know, one of the things why I respect Amazon so as much as I do? There's a lot of reasons I respect that company, but one of the main reasons is fundamentally you could make a lot of money as an individual citizen. You have the ability to utilize that platform to make a lot of money. We've talked
Mhm.
about this on shows before, referrals, and if you have a product and you get that into Amazon, you can sell it there. We talked about the KDPs, the Kindle Direct Publishing
Mhm.
books. We talked about all kinds of ways in and around how you can make money on Amazon. Well, I'm going to tell you another way you can make money on Amazon.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. Do you know had no idea that Amazon does not employ its own drivers. Did you know that? All those people driving the Amazon trucks in the Amazon uniform are actually not employees of Amazon.
That's not surprising.
You know what they do? It's all little itty bitty, tiny driving companies. And they will help you. You can go onto their website and they will help you to start up a driving company. They give you
Logistics.
logistics. They give you a reduced rate on
Mhm.
either leasing or buying their vehicles. They do all the routing for you because they're doing the orders. They send you the routes. And it's so smart on their part because guess what? If they've got, like, say there's 3 or 4 of these little mini transportation companies in a region, they never, ever, ever have to worry about one company going out of business
Mhm.
or having a union strike or anything because
Yeah.
another one of those companies could pick up the slack. It
Yeah.
is so stinking smart. I had no idea that was how they did it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense completely. There's a lot of overhead maintaining your own drivers, so I know Staples was moving away from doing that as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. There's just absolutely here's an interesting one for making money with Amazon is if you go on to some of these websites like Wish or ones that deal with products in China, and you find some really unique looking thing, you can order a bunch of them and just then sell them on Amazon and
Yeah.
mark them up like big time. So that's
Yeah.
one way to make some money. I know there was a person who was doing it with maps. They found this really cool map thing and they were able to then sell it on Amazon. Like they were getting it for like a couple of bucks from China and then they were selling it for 20 bucks on Amazon and they were selling out every time they got an order in from China.
Right.
So, there's a lot of stuff you can do there.
Yeah, no, it's so true. But I love their model that in some ways, you know, and she was quoting Bezos, right? She said he believes because he made his fortune on the back of people who built infrastructure. Think about it. He didn't build the internet.
Mhm.
He made his fortune on the backs of people who did build the internet. So he feels it's his mission to give back. So that's one of the ways he does it is that there's multiple ways for anybody to make money if you have some creativity and some ingenuity. As well, he's got another company that's a low cost internet, like it has low bandwidth internet, but he's
Mhm.
trying to get it around the world for places that don't even have the
Well,
internet.
I was perusing through Amazon today, and they have Amazon Cloud,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it was.
and
Well,
I'm like,
another way that I make money from Amazon is every so often they send me an episode of a show that's going to come out on Prime, and I just have to watch it, answer a few questions about the show, and
Yeah.
then they send me a $20 gift card or a $30 gift card, depending on what the show is.
"Out. How did
Oh
you get
yeah,
on that?"
Yeah.
I saw this thing one day on Amazon, and it said, asked me if I was interested. I said sure, and now I got into that program. I was just like, okay,
You're watching TV anyways.
yeah. And quite literally, most of the times I'll watch like one usually it's one episode. I think once with one show they gave me 3 episodes to watch. And then they give you more money if you get multiple episodes, but I watched it about 6 months before it actually aired on Amazon so that I could give them my feedback, how I felt about these characters, things I thought they should change, and all kinds of stuff like that. And
Interesting. You know that Chris Dancy was talking to us about when he was on our stream back in December. He was talking to us about the most advantageous place to live in, and one of the places was sort of in the Winnipeg area, the lower Manitoba. futuristic. Well, the Amazon lady was telling us that that Amazon is building a very, very, very large movie studio in Winnipeg.
Oh, nice.
And that's why there's direct WestJet flights to and from Winnipeg to California now, because
So is that a prime location then?
That was good. Oh,
But I learned a lot of interesting things. Like they've got another Amazon's got another business model, and I forget what she said the name of it was. They've got a location here in Oakville, and it's called Large or Extra Large or something like that. And I'm messing this up, but it's where they will do larger deliveries, like for refrigerators and couches and things like that. So it gets shuffled over to that different division of their business. They just have so many things on the go. Like they are.
I mean, and especially when it comes to the video side, there's so many tax breaks for them to film in Canada, so it makes a lot of sense.
Well, and it's cheaper from the foreign exchange rate as well.
Yeah, and I think there's a town in Ontario that Hallmark uses almost exclusively for all their Christmas movies. Yeah, and they're filming. Apparently, they start about in August. They start filming Christmas movies.
Yep, they're all over. So when I was in BC, I was in a funny little fishing village called Stevenson or Stevensville or something like that. And apparently that was the little town that they used to film the TV show Once Upon a Time. Remember that TV show we watched? Oh, yeah. And so the little itty bitty cafe that they had in that show, no kidding. That's where I ate lunch. It was the craziest thing. So I was walking through and I'm like, now I feel like I've got to go back and watch that show again. But it's funny that Canada is, again, it's because, and this is where, as much as we grumble about the dollar and how far apart we are in the price of the exchange, it is advantageous for us to be below the U.S. It really is. Our economy thriving in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, I mean, if the Canadian dollar is anywhere between 75 and 80 cents, it's usually good here in Canada. So that's not a bad thing.
This fella or gal, I'm not sure whether it's a female or male, but it keeps pointing out like really
it's
good
like
points.
It's like I never thought of it that way. I'm reading their stuff and I'm
going, Uber.
Oh, yeah, that day, yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So, anyways, well,
Netflix.
It was a fascinating conversation. I was on my flight from Edmonton to Toronto. She was coming in to do a presentation or something today, and I was heading home. And I am telling you, I usually get in an airplane. I have my headset on. I still wear my mask in an airplane only because I don't want to get sick in general. And, but I was, for whatever reason, I didn't on that flight home. And, she just sat down and the lady came over and thanked her for being a platinum flyer with WestJet. And so I turned to her and I go, what do you do that you have platinum status? And she went on about, what she did. And I was like completely gobsmacked. And we were exchanging ideas and the whole 9 yards, as you can imagine. But most of the time, you guys would be surprised, I pretty much become recluse. I kind of sit and I usually got my head up against a window and I'm looking out and I'm not really talking to the people sitting like on top of me.
Oh yeah. See, every time I let somebody talk to me on the plane, they're telling me about Jesus. And being from Nova Scotia, I just politely listen.
Is that because is that because they're scared and they're going, help me? And they're praying?
No, it's usually just, you know how it is. It's like, can I tell you about Jesus?
That has never happened to me.
Oh, that happens to me a lot.
You look like
maybe I just look like I need help, I guess.
Or you look like an open-minded conversationalist.
I would just turn to them and say, "Why has something changed?"
Yeah.
Better not be an Amway presentation. That's all I'll
Oh Lord,
That,
that's enough out of you. Anyways, well, it's at the 8 o'clock mark. This has been fun.
Oh, yeah,
What are you doing this week, Candace? As far as
well, Friday,
yeah.
I got a video coming out on how to structure your retirement portfolio.
Ooh.
That's Friday. Then we're going to have on Sunday the regular old live stream. And then
Awesome.
on Tuesday, we'll have a list video of some sort. I haven't worked out yet what it's going to be. And if
Yes.
all goes well, because I'm 30 subs away, we may have that live
Ooh.
stream, the bonus live stream with me getting all the hot sauce on Thursday.
What are you going to put it on?
Meatballs.
Oh my gosh.
Meatballs.
Make them low sodium meatballs.
Yeah, they're going to be low sodium meatballs. They're probably not going to be beef. They're probably going to be chicken or turkey.
Would you put it on tofu?
Well, I want something that's meaty. And plus, there's a lot of hot ball jokes that I can make.
Okay, easy now. Jesus.
Well,
Oh, that's
with a
awesome.
hot sauce, Tim.
Yeah, dang.
Well, and this is just a public service announcement on our behalf. Somebody has hacked our Danter Banter Facebook page, and they're talking about airdropping coins and things like that. That is not us.
Stop
Oh.
it. Stop it.
We're not airdropping coins. That is a hacker. So in case any of you see this stuff, just don't.
Can't you get rid of it?
Bill's telling you you're going to have the hot sauce on tofu.
Well,
She's
apparently, it's
excited.
tofu now. I don't know what it's going to be. I just know that as long as as long as it'll absorb the hot sauce, and I can then do a last dab on the last one, and
Ugh.
Ugh. Oh my Candace.
it'll be fun.
No.
You have all your passwords and stuff written down on a piece of paper somewhere, right?
Well, yeah, of course. Well, not on paper per se, but Jill knows my passwords in case I were to die or something. But it's a live stream, so you'll know.
In case it got a little too hot, right?
Let's hope that doesn't
That's
happen.
not going to happen.
No,
I'm
no.
so happy and proud of you, Candace. You're so close. This has been fun watching your journey, and you're like the little engine that could just, you think you could, and look at you. You've climbed that
Keep
mountain.
on chugging along.
Keep on chugging. Keep on moving. Isn't that Nemo's thing? Keep on swimming, or Dory, keep on swimming.
I never actually saw the little lost fish maid or
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. That's it. Yeah, no, I haven't actually seen it, so I don't know. And I haven't seen the Little Mermaid either, like the cartoon or the new live action.
I'll leave everyone with this thought. There's a place out here called Mount Nemo. Go with that one.
Mountain Nemo.
Lord help us.
The
Anyways,
Mountain
well, I hope everybody has a really nice night, and if all goes well, Tim will be back next Wednesday. And
where the hell are you going to be?
We don't know. She's finding us.
Well, thank you for the guest appearance and cameo.
Anyways, mwah, mwah, mwah. Have a good night,
Bye, everybody.
everybody.